The Carpenter's Son equips men to serve their neighbors. We are a service program that trains men in the trades, including carpentry, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and finished carpentry. We believe first fishermen, then fishers of men. And the Carpenter's Son is Jesus. Let's go. Man, welcome back, man. Just so great to have you here with me. So before I even get into this presentation, I want to show you kind of like the presentation that we use on Carpenter's Son, give you some more details about what we're doing. Before I even get into that though, man, great news. I just heard back from the Reverend whose nonprofit controls the warehouse. Everything, we signed and finalized that contract. So we're gonna have full access to the warehouse, as well as the 2 vacant houses. So I'm gonna start giving you more information about our designs for the warehouse. My architect has been on it. What we're gonna do with the vacant houses as well. But I'm just so excited, man, to share that with you that God's moving. Something's happening here. So as we develop, as we go, I'll continue to share information with you. But for right now, I want to get into the presentation, but I want to just hit you with that. Because some of you got, joining me, you're on this journey with me. I thank God for you. So let me hit this presentation. Let's go. So this part of the video, this is the presentation that we're about to do with Reverend Hudson and his trustees. Some of them are on Zoom calls, so that's why they have the phones up. That's my partner, Will, on the left. And we're starting out talking about 30 Mighty Men, what this nonprofit is all about. Like, our mission is to build righteous men to serve God's purpose. That's the crux of it. So here I'm just describing our different programs. We have our training program for 30 Mighty Men. We have the Living Word Bible Study. We have Clean, which is a sexual integrity group. And we have Prayer Series for Men, which has 4 parts: the power of prayer, power of praying husband, the power of praying father, and the power of intercessory prayer. So programs that we've run, and just watching men grow and transform in these programs. But this has been the core of what 30 Mighty Men Ministries has been doing prior to launching Carpenter's Son. And this slide gives you some of the impact, right? So we've served over 336 men, facilitated over 31 groups already, provided 135 leadership opportunities among the men who are participating. We've touched 12 churches across 11 states. So because of this, it's like, okay, we're doing this work, but what's next? What's the new initiative? We're in the cave, but now where do we go next? And Carpenter's Son was birthed. This idea of bringing men together under a new program, a service program. And the mission of Carpenter's Son is to equip men to serve their neighbors. Very simple. And our vision is to train men, build them up, build their character, and to equip them to serve. And this is our timeline. This is how the thing all started. I met Will Butler, the co-founder, in August 2020 when I moved to Byval, Maryland during COVID. He had a passion for God and just a desire to develop young men in the trade, right? Will and I re-sparked the idea of a nonprofit program that he wanted to do when I first met him in January 2022. And I was like, let's sit down. In March, we said, let's sit down twice a week for an hour and just talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's build it out. Let's structure it. And from there, by May, we create a plan to train men in home building in Baltimore. Specifically right now in the 21217 zip code in Sandtown. Dr. Hunt is my professor at seminary right now, Wesley Theological Seminary, and Reverend Hudson is one of his mentees, and we met. And I heard about Reverend Hudson and the work that he's doing in that area and how he had access to this warehouse, that it was gifted to him. So we talked to them, we pitched it to them earlier in the year to kind of get a feel. We went on a tour, and he said, come back with something concrete that we can look at, that we can react to, as well as a potential contract, right? An agreement between the two of us. And that's what this is right now. So So the purpose again of Carpenter's Son is to serve my neighbor, right? And we're going to use learning skills to serve the community, right? Which includes providing free discounted labor, on safety home improvement services, right? So literally going to neighbors and helping them doing fence repair, painting, carpentry service, bathroom renovation, like just a variety of things that we can do for our neighbor with these skills. But at the flip side, with housing, as we potentially own housing, purchase housing, acquire housing, we can rent and renovate them. We can now provide housing to our participants. So it could be 6 to 24 months of transitional housing, so they're able to get a leg up, whatever their next step is. So taking care of both the spiritual need as well as the material. That's our goal. So our project needs right now are very simple, very clear. Try to write everything down here. Our building material, tools, warehouse, homes in need of renovation, licensed tradesmen, participants, men ages 16 plus, videographer, and video production tools. A lot of things we already have, but we're also building out. So the warehouse and the homes are what we're asking for right now from Ames Memorial, but this is where we're going. So right now, Will is taking over. He's about to present his portion, but I'm going to talk over that and give you the things that he's saying here. So this is the blueprint of the training space. So one of the members of our team, he's an architect, licensed architect, and he laid this out for us. This is the warehouse schematic where we're going to have training base. You can see in the lower southern corner, carpentry, electrical, plumbing, finished carpentry, HVAC, and sheetrock. Also going to have areas to store tools and to store materials. On the left-hand side, bottom left-hand side, we're going to build out an office for space for when we have to meet with people who are interested in the program and learning more, as well as a conference room where we can sit down during these working lunches. We're going to do part Bible study. So we're going to sit down in this conference room. It has mobile walls, so we can rearrange it however we may need. In the top left-hand corner, we're also going to build out a break room and a restroom, a bathroom area as well for the men during the program. So again, this is what the first project in Carpenter Science is to learn the skills to build this out. We're going to do this ourselves. So what we're going to start asking for is just help purchasing materials as we provide the labor with men who desire to see this thing work. And this slide here is just a rough sketch that we'll put together so that we can see like what the training bay might look like. So it's much larger. It's actually be a little bit deeper than this, but each bay will have 3 sides. And each side will have a function. There'll be an application wall, a supply wall, and a tool wall. So the tool wall will have the major tools to do finished carpentry. This actually is a schematic or a view of what the finished carpentry bay would look like. So the tools that are needed for finished carpentry. There will be a supply wall where you have to be able to identify what all the materials are, what we're going to need to actually finish this space. The application wall, we're actually going to put in the door, put in the window, put in the crown molding, the chair rail molding, whatever else, as well as the flooring here. The typical training day that we're going to have in the warehouse, mostly on weekends starting out, will be 3.5 hours of instruction where you learn the skill just in discussion, what it means, how we're going to do it. Then there'll be a 1-hour lunch Bible study. So we're always going to have God in center of everything that we're doing here, literally. And then we're going to have a 3.5 hours of application. We're actually going to go into the bay and do work and put things in and learn how to actually do finished carpentry, do plumbing, do electrical, whatever that task may be for that day. We're going to have a detailed structure of like what we're going to do every weekend and the skills that we're going to learn primarily to renovate those 2 vacant houses that are across the street. That's our next goal after we build out these training bays in this training space. This is what we're looking for, renovation offerings. So right now we're going to pilot with the 2 vacant houses because we already acquired them. But when we start looking at other houses within the Baltimore area in the 21217 zip code, we're going to assess them in this way, looking at either premium renovation, the things that you may see include more of an overhaul. Remember, these prices do not include labor. That's labor we're going to provide for free, but it's the kind of money that we're going to have to raise to get these homes online. There'll be a mid-grade renovation and a cosmetic overhaul. So different levels depending on when we go into a house and do an assessment. What does this house need to be resurrected so that a man in a program can either live in it, kind of like a group home, transitional home, or a man comes to the program who's ready to potentially purchase a home and to have his family in there. So that's what we're looking at. And then here you see Will passing it back to me so I can close out the presentation and just give some final thoughts about Carpenter's Son. And then right now, Van's already giving us some good news about things that he already likes in our presentation. So he's one of the major trustees. So the backstage work is this. We literally have all these things in detail already. We already built this thing out. We've designed it. We're at the phase now we're trying to implement. So we have a project Gantt chart which tells or explains the process to renovate a home down to the day. What we're going to do every single weekend to get the skills needed. A detailed skills list, the skills that men will have to learn to do this work. We have a detailed building materials list, all the materials that we're going to need to build a training space as well as to renovate these homes. We're going to have a detailed tool cost list as well. 24 tools that the men are going to have to learn to use to help renovate this house. We have detailed furnishing costs. We know what the costs are to furnish these homes as well, right? And then the last thing is we have a detailed videographer costs, which a lot of those things have already been covered, as you're seeing me right now on camera, that we already had those kind of donations and those things put together so that we can show you what we're doing in this space. But I'm going to have, if you kind of go in the future, if you kind of get more detail into these details, those who are really interested, I will do videos on each of these backstage work, things that we're doing on the backstage, so you can see that, yes, you're seeing the output, the things that we're doing up front, but there's a lot of work that we put in behind these scenes to get to this point. This is 1 year of work. We've been already developing design, and now this is the fruits of our labor at this point. So the next slide, we just go into our team. So Melvin Graham, you may have seen in our welcome video. He is a master in finance and fundraising, accountant by trade. So he's been helping us out a lot. Kamal Jones, a friend of mine, man after God's own heart. He is in the entertainment industry, so he's been helping us figure out cameras and things like that. Then you have Falaji Fadayibi. He works in the nonprofit sector. You have myself, as you know, I'm the founder of 30 Mighty Men Ministries. I also have a PhD in city and regional planning. Wilbur Butler, he's a certified welder, licensed contractor. He's my co-partner. He has 26 years in construction. He's our main teacher and really implementer. And he's at the heart of this project, right? Christopher Bowden, you see some of the schematics that you're seeing. He's our architect as well. We have Serge Dabao, who is just a business genius. So he's helping us do everything business-wise, making sure that we are on track, that we're thinking about this thing, not just as a nonprofit, but as a sustainable business, something that we can move into the future and do. And then Johannes Bowden, who's also Christopher Bowden's brother, he's our lawyer, just working to make sure that all those details, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So I thank God for these men that they're working with us on this project, that we're coming to this as a team and moving forward. So this is really our last slide. And the vision literally is this. When I first thought about this project and what I was doing, especially at Wesley Theological Seminary, where we're being trained to spread the gospel outside of the four walls of the church, where I first thought about, like, well, how do you spread this gospel? Like, what are the ways we can do this? The church is a fountain. It's a place where there is fresh water, there's clean water, because we follow and believe in Jesus Christ. But how do we get that water to the people? They don't always come to the church to get the water. So can we go outside and give them water? right? So in my mind, like, well, if I knocked on someone's door and I had a skill, literally I had a skill that I knew that I could provide. So if I saw that their fence was in disrepair or a gutter was out of place, from just the outside, looking at their house, I'm not going to say, you know, like, can my team and I fix your fence? Can we help you here? I see that it's not working. Can we help fix it? And they say, okay, you know, wow. For what cost? No, it's free. You're our neighbor. We live in this community. We live and work in this community. Can we help you? They say, sure. We fix it. They ask us, well, you know, who do you work for? Why are you doing? Say, oh, you know, we work for the carpenter's son, right? Okay, carpenter. I've never heard of them. Who is that? Oh, well, the carpenter's son is Jesus, right? And now we already did the act of love, did what Christ would do in just serving our neighbor, right? As one of he says that there's two main commandments, and that's one of the love your neighbor as yourself. So we did that part, and now we're sharing the why, what's motivating us to do this. So I say here, you know, now we anticipate there'll be a moment when neighbors will talk among each other about the carpenter's son. And if you know the story in the Gospels, this was a slight on Christ when he came to his hometown Nazareth to spread the gospel and to do his works and the miracles that he was doing in other places, that they were calling him like, well, isn't that just the carpenter's son? Like, don't we know him from back in, like, isn't that Joseph's son, carpenter's son? Like, how can he do these things, right? So it was a slight for me, like, but I say, unlike in Nazareth, when one neighbor says to another quizzically, isn't that the carpenter's son? The other will say, yes, that was Jesus that served us this day. That in this case, we're going to go in there, we're going to help, we're going to do something that can benefit our neighbor in their home, and that they'll see that in that act of love and in the act of service that we represented Jesus that day. And prayerfully, we get to know that neighbor. We have a conversation with that neighbor. We build a relationship with that neighbor in our community, right? So that really is the primary goal of Carpenter's Son. That's my dream and vision for it. Will, I wish he was here right now to talk and give you his vision as well, but he will soon. So stay encouraged. Again, this is not for me to be seen, but for you to be encouraged. We here in 30 Mighty Men are serving one King. So if you believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ as we do, then we're serving and co-laboring together. I pray you have a blessed one. Peace.